what's good, GGB fam? I'm here with the week 5 weekly recap for GGB season 2, and let's just like get into it. Let's just get into the report. Starting us off, we have Froggy X Blue versus ITP. I streamed this game and it went to 9-10. It went to like the very last game. Highlights from the game that I remember. I think it might have been I streamed like a few games this week, but I think it was this game where he like got Marsed. I think it was Noosphere, and I think there was a Silvally Rampardos game where he got like Marsed or red carded, and he drew Rampardos to still win. he drew Rampardos and still won. It happens sometimes, but that's what I remember. I think that it was either Froggy X Blue or was the other game that I streamed. I'm not sure. I have 2 VOD from last week. If you want to watch them, they're on my channel. You can watch them if you want. But yeah, that's all I have to say for this game. ITP, okay, I mean divisional standings wise, there is the Froggy X Blue and Italian Sadax are in the same division, so winning those games are always nice, right? Because first standings. So yeah, let's just go. Sunclan versus Squad Zero, which was this week's like hype match, because like obviously Squad Zero, Sunclan, they have their like history. Sneaky Dragon streamed that on his YouTube channel, so if you want to see it, you can watch. And yeah, Silvally's Aurora, good showing from Magikarp, and Buzzwolf Hermosa closed it up from Jacob. And here are some comments from Yosh, which I wanted to include, which he gave me. Like, that was his like post-game. I wanted to do a post-game interview originally, but I didn't really get people to do it or whatever, so here we got comments from Yosh instead. Alright, next up we got Smoke on Deck Live versus Galactic, which I do have comments from Kamikaze. He gave me some comments. There's like a lot of text, but I cut it in like 2 pieces, and he did talk about a bit of like Jidio's game, or you guys might know him as Soul Silver. He streams obviously ranked and stuff, but he talked about a little bit about his games, how he had to go like go somewhere, so yeah. And then Kaio came in with the Solgaleo Shanotic and did well, but in the end Nails did win for Smogon. He did close it out for Smogon, and they won 10-7. So yeah, but I think Galactic can still bounce back. Obviously they're a very good team, and it's still very early on, and yeah, they did very well last season, and they did well in the off season, so still bounce back, and good job from Smogon to get another win. And next up we got Level 6 Project versus Magma. And this was a pretty sweep. Yeah, I mean, pretty kind of one-sided. It was just like Silvally Rampardos kind of just swept, kind of. It won the most games out of any other deck, like from a singular player, obviously. But yeah, Leo came in and closed it up with Puzzle Celesteela versus Katina Darkrai, and LSP did win 10-4, which is a 10-4 win is huge for LSP, like round difference and stuff. But let's just go to the next game. We got my champions versus Phoenix, and I tried to get comments. I didn't really get comments for this game, but I mean Charizard Silvally did well for mid champions, and so did Silvally Zeraora did pretty well for mid champions, and they did win 10-8 in the end. So yeah, Phoenix 3-2, and mid champions are close. I think they're also 3-2 maybe. We'll see the standings later, but yeah. Alright, next we got Daybreak versus Hispanic Dynasty, and I do have comments from Jewel from what Illu said, so they are on screen right now. This is what he had to say about the game. He said they're obviously Illu's was their like, what is it called? He was their MVP. That's the word I'm looking for. He was their MVP. He did win 1, 2, 3, 4. He did win 4 games. And yeah, Daybreak won 10-7 versus Hispanic Dynasty. And there might have been a stream. I know that I think the Hispanic Dynasty usually streams their games, so I think there should maybe be a stream. I'm not sure. Alright, next we got Pocket Chefs versus Splash Gaming. And I think my team is still depressed about this loss, because let's look at it. You see Giratina Darkrai won 6 games in a row, 4 of them which was Buzzwole Celesteela, which usually should counter the deck. But yeah, we started like pretty well, and it ended like with Giratina sweeping, unfortunately. But basically it was pretty unlucky, but Giratina Darkrai, especially without the poison stuff, does play like red card and Mars, so, and those cards are like pretty good into stuff like Solgaleo and Silvally Rampardos and Buzzle Stila. So, and we also kind of got lucky with the Solgaleo Shiinotic. There was one game where Nico, he got red carded and he drew the Solgaleo. He drew the Solgaleo with the rare candy, and, so it didn't really matter that he got red carded because he just top decked the Solga. He got red carded, got a rare candy, top deck Solgaleo. Heart of the cards, what can you say? But yeah. He's kind of nice victory for Splash Gaming. Sucks that it had to be in that way, but that's the game we play. Luck is still part of it, even if there is a bit more skill nowadays. Maybe people have been saying like, Buzzle Stila and like this meta in general is a bit more skill, but the game does still have a lot of RNG. So yeah, this happens. You can't really do much about RNG. You just gotta go next. And speaking of going next, we got Mia Stardust Princess versus Team Question Mark, and this went to the last game 9-10, and Team Question Mark won. Back and forth, very icy, very back and forth game, and another divisional match. I'm pretty sure that Team Question Mark and Mia Stardust Princess are in the same division. Yeah, they're in the same division. So yeah, always the divisional matches you do kind of want to win for your standings, right? But yeah, let's go next. We got Hyper Offense versus Double Critical, and Double Critical has they have done some changes, right? They added new players like Flocky, DC Dreams. I don't know how, but they have added some new players. Basically, I know Flock is one of the new players, and Double Critical are kind of bouncing back. They had a kind of bad start at the beginning, but now I think this win is three in a row. I think they started 0-2 and now they're 3-2. Very good job from Double Critical. And Hyper Offense have not had the best season. Maybe it's the rebrand. That's all I'm saying. But they haven't had the best season. And Charizard, Silvally, Greninja, Oricorio, all the decks that did well in this match. Charizard, Silvally closed it out with 3-0. Oh, a mirror as well, and they repeated the mirror, which is kind of interesting. And then Guzzlord, Celesteela. But yeah, Greninja, Oricorio with 3 wins, Charizard, Silvally with 3 wins, and yeah, that gave Double Critical the win over Hyper Offense. Let's go next. We got Third Eye versus SVK. What I want to say about this, it's another very good game from Sararu. This time 4 in a row with Buzzle to just close it out, and that is Sararu is 10-0 in 2 games. In the span of 2 weeks, he is 10-0 with Puzzle Vermosa, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, Third Eye won 10-6 versus SVK. Next week, Power of Chaos versus Fuji, which Oricorio Magnezone kind of just swept for Fuji. That happens sometimes. I don't really... Oricorio Magnezone, I guess they sent in Solgaleo. They repeated Solgaleo versus Puzzle, and they beat it, and then Fuji brought in Ori, and it beat Silvally, Oricorio, it beat Puzzle, Vermosa, and it beat Darktina. I guess if it isn't Poison Darktina, I guess it's kind of hard it's kind of good for Oricorio Magnezone if it's not Poison Darktina, but yeah. From here, it looks like the decks really were just Oricorio Magnezone week, kinda. I guess Silvally Oricorio is your biggest chance to beat Oricorio Magnezone, and it didn't work out. But yeah, Team Fuji won 10-5 versus Power of Chaos. And then next up, we have Froggy X Red versus Terbaguette. This is another 2 French teams. Terbaguette is obviously the original GGB French team, and Froggy X Red were new for season 2. And there was no stream. Froggy X usually stream. They didn't stream this week. I'm not sure why, but stuff happens. You can't always stream. And my other comments about this, obviously good job from Charizard, Silvally, 3 wins, and Puzzle Stila kind of did pretty well. It closed out the war for Marty. My thing about this is Top Coco Oricorio, which is kind of interesting. They brought Top Coco Oricorio. It lost to Charizard, Silvally, and then they repeated, and then it beat Charizard, Silvally, so that's pretty interesting. The Top Coco Oricorio bring is kind of interesting. Usually you don't see stuff like that, right? It's been kind of the same decks. Seeing something like Top Coco Oricorio is kind of interesting. But yeah, Terbaguette won 7-10, which yeah, good job for Terbaguette, and I think Froggy Extra can still bounce back. Obviously they're a good team. But yeah, let's go next. Okay, we got Team A versus Soul Beam Syndicate, and this is another divisional match. And this divisional match was important because both of these teams had the same record going into this week. So obviously both teams wanted to win to get the first place in the division and to have the bye. The bye week after playoffs, to have that spot, right? To have the first spot, basically. And yeah, it was thanks to last week's player of the week, which was Storm. After going 10-1 this time, he went 4-1 to close out this game and to give SPS the win 10-5. I streamed this game, so the VOD is available on my Twitch channel. You can go watch it. I would recommend the Giratina Darkrai game. The Giratina Darkrai versus Oricorio Magnezone, I think it was very well played from Storm. And I mean, it was like amazingly played by Storm. I mean, yeah, and that was, I think also there was like one Charizard Silvally game, if I remember correctly. I think it was early on. I think either he got red carded or he got Marsed, and he had like a Silvally that could attack, and obviously like you red card and Mars, hoping that he doesn't get any supporters. And the top deck was a Mars. His top deck was a Mars, so he just Mars then attacked with Silvally and won the game. I don't remember what game it was. I think it was either a Charizard Silvally game, I think. And obviously Storm played very well with. So those are like my highlights from this game that I remember. Is there was like one of the Charizard Silvallis that got Mars, then just top decked Mars to win. And then obviously Storm played very well the last match to close it out. But yeah, that's it for the reports. Okay, so let's look at his standings. So right now SPS are still number 1, 4-1, and then Fuji is second with 4-1, and then Pocket Chefs are 3-2, which those are the 3 teams that have the bye as of right now. That can still change because just winning or losing one game is very important in GGB. It's like winning one game or losing one game is huge, especially when there's like 16 3-2 teams, and the rest are all 2-3. So like one game like is just so huge. Like just winning one game is just so big for teams. So yeah, the standings are gonna be like a bit more like as the season progresses, the standings are gonna set a bit, but still winning one game or losing one game is still very huge for your standings. And as of week 7, I will start doing like a playoff picture. I'll like take the teams that are in playoffs and I'll like make a bracket and show the teams that have the bye starting week 7. Week 6 we're just gonna look at the standings, but week 7 I'll have like a playoff picture graphic. Alright, next we got the league schedule, and as for week 6 we have already, as I'm recording this, there's already been a game played. It was played on Wednesday, and that was Froggy X Red versus Mia Stardust Princess. No spoilers, that's for next week though. But yeah, you can watch the stream if you want. There is a stream for that, but I'm not spoiling it. But let's look at the week 6 schedule, and for me I think the highlight games are Team Magma versus Team Fuji. Team Magma has been good this season, and Team Fuji is obviously 4-1, so that's a game that you would want to watch. And then I have Phoenix versus ITP, which right now they have the same record and they're in the same division, so you want to win for standing purposes for both Phoenix and ITP. So yeah, and another game is LSP versus Machampions. Both teams are kind of on a win streak right now, so you want to keep your win streak, right? So LSP versus Machampion is another highlight game. I might stream that one if you guys. I might stream LSP versus Machampions, and then I might stream Pocket Chefs versus Team Question Mark, and that should be my streams. And that's it for like the games that I think are exciting. But yeah, that's all that I have today. I don't have the meta breakdown. It has not been posted as of I'm recording this. It hasn't been posted just yet, and I don't know the player of the week, so I don't have a player of the week interview. And the interview I wanted originally is not, I didn't plan it all too well, so there is no interview section, and that's really all I have right now. The meta breakdown should be posted later today and stuff like that, but yeah, people are busy, so there was no meta breakdown this time. I will try to have it for next week. But yeah, that's it for me, and I'll see you guys next week for the week 6 recap.